Ejumeye, Hinabeye, Miaro, Enyo, Miaro, Obrey, Hinabebo, Miaro, Enyo, Miaro, Asemi, Besini, Asemi, Miaro.
All work and no play makes one dull. Under Bawumia'S chapter, sports, creative arts and tourism will be turbocharged with state-supported protocol services for sector players, sports development fund, tax incentives, and seamless e-visas. Our creatives get a digital platform, athletes thrive through grassroots programs, and Olympic glory awaits in 2028.
Vote for Bawumia. Bawumia means business.
Our media friends, media brothers and sisters from across the country. We have media in the capital, in the Greater Accra region. We have our friends from the OT region, the Volta region, Upper East, Upper West, Savannah, Northern region, Bono East, Bono, Ahafo, Western North, Western region, Central region, Ashanti, and Eastern region. This is a national media engagement, and every region is duly represented here. As we can all acknowledge, the numbers definitely could not have fitted in this auditorium. Our expectation is that we'll be speaking to him, and he would also be speaking to you and the millions of Ghanaians across the country. I would say the opening prayer myself, then we can start. Please, let's bow our heads for a quick opening prayer. Father, Lord, we thank you for such a moment. Thank you for a day like this. We commit this evening's engagement, interaction, conversation, and deliberation into your hands. Be with us till the very end. And all we ask for is a very successful evening. These are many more we ask. In the name of Jesus. Amen. I would also go ahead and quickly indicate that we have in our midst this evening several high-ranking officials of government in our party, and also of the Dr. Bawumia campaign team. I'll try as much as possible to keep the introduction really short, but as many as I can identify from here, I'd mention. So I see members of our Manifesto Committee and Ministers of State. I see Deputy Minister for Transport, Honorable Tampuri, please put your hands together for our Deputy Minister for Transport. I also see our Minister for Public Sector Enterprises. Honorable, you are very much welcome. I see our Deputy Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Hamid, is also here with us. I see Honorable Kojo Opon Kroma, Minister for Works and Housing, also here with us. I see Honorable Atachia is also well seated with us. Dr. Insiasare. I see the National Youth Organizer, Salam Mustafa, is here. Our campaign manager, Honorable Opariansa, is here. Our Deputy Campaign Chairman, Mr. Fredowari, is here. Our Minister for Information, Honorable Fati Matu Abubakar, is also here with us. We also have in our midst our campaign chairman, Honorable Dan Butri, also in our midst here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have this evening in our midst our running mate, the running mate of the New Patriotic Party, the incoming Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Please put your hands together for incoming His Excellency. This evening, speaking to the whole of Ghana and listening to the whole of Ghana, is the flag bearer and leader of our party, the New Patriotic Party, and the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Please, let's acknowledge his presence. I have already indicated that we have media representation from every region here in this room with us. And so the numbers are large. We have here, Your Excellency, 200 media persons from across the country. And so they are ready to have a very fruitful interaction with you. I would go straight to business of the day, and I would invite our campaign chairman, Honorable Dan Butwe, to give us a brief welcome remarks, and then we'll continue the event. Please put your hands together for Honorable Dan Butwe, the campaign chairman for the Bawumia campaign 2024.
Thank you very much. The miracles. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, and the presidential candidate of New Patriotic Party. The Vice Presidential candidate of New Patriotic Party, Honorable Matthew. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in actual fact, we normally give vote of thanks at the close of program. But you see, the media, at times, they can go out and file their reports. So I'm actually thanking the Almighty God for travel mercies, bringing people, our friends from all the 16 regions here. We thank the Almighty God for travel mercies. And also thank you very much for the support you've given since we started the campaign. In the first phase of the campaign, when His Excellency and the presidential candidate toured the regions, for the stakeholder consultations with the House of Chiefs, religious leaders, and other stakeholders, you were with us. And I am satisfied on behalf of the campaign of the reportage we've had and the ties we've had. And we thank you very much for that. We do appreciate that for what you've done so far. From 1992, and those of you who are around, you will notice that, you will realize that we had a very short time to form our party, New Patriotic Party, when the ban on political parties was lifted. But within a very short time, being who we are, true principles of democratic governance in Ghana, we put out a manifesto stating publicly our intentions, our motives, and our ideas. With a firm belief that when put into practice, it will move this country forward. And we have always done that. You were with us in Takoradi when our presidential candidate, the vice president, put out the manifesto. It's also important that we give you the chance. We are always prepared to, through you, talk to Ghanaians, and through you, listen to Ghanaians. That's why we are met here today. If you get the abridged version of our manifesto, the last page, it says, to lead is to solve. And we say it emphatically, that we have demonstrated throughout the manifesto a clear understanding of what keeps you and other Ghanaians awake. The proposals we have laid out are designed to provide solutions to everyday issues for all Ghanaians and the business community. Politics and the ideas and the principles we have, if we put it forward, the grace of God, we get the chance to lead the country. We listen, our ideas should resonate with the broad mass of the people of Ghana. And we believe that we have a man who has dedicated his life to service of Ghana. Very humble, but yet very fair, very strong in his beliefs. Dedicated his life to serve. We believe that in the next 3 months, through you, as we explain, interact with Ghanaians, and explain more our manifesto, and listen to you, Ghanaians will understand us and know that yes, we have a man who we give, when we give him the chance, will pursue policies and programs that will upgrade the quality of life of the Ghanaian. This is His Excellency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Damboche. Let me stand on the existing protocols and ask, this is a very, very important meeting with the media, and you have a very difficult job to do as the media, sometimes through your work, as hard as it is. People lose their lives. This is how difficult it is for the media. And so before we really proceed, I want to ask, in honor of the memory of members of the media who've lost their lives in carrying out their job, to get up and let us have a minute's silence before we proceed. May their souls and those of all who have departed rest in perfect peace. Amen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I warmly welcome you to our maiden media encounter. The notice, I know, was short, and you responded. Particularly exciting is that media practitioners from the 16 regions of our country are duly represented here tonight. I am grateful that you've traveled that far and near to listen to me speak and ask the critical questions agitating your minds and those of our people. This engagement tonight was originally planned for June 26, 2024, and had to be suspended to make way for a broader consultation, the choice also of my running mate, and the launch of our manifesto, all of which have now been completed. The media plays an important role in the democratic process, and those seeking to govern our nation must be interested in partnering with the media to ensure accountability, dissemination of ideas, and critical scrutiny of public policy proposals. The MPP views the media as an important ally in our national development agenda and our quest to expand the frontiers of democratic governance in Ghana. It was thus the MPP under President John Agyekum Kufuor that repealed the criminal libel law to allow, in addition to the rights guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, for the media to fully perform its functions. Again, another MPP president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, passed the Right to Information Law to enhance the work of the media. We are partners with you, and a partnership I will continue to keep as the new leader of the MPP. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, in November last year, I was elected as the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party for the December 2024 elections. In my campaign for the flag bearership, you offered me extensive coverage, and this resulted in no small way in my decisive victory. Since then, I have traveled the country and engaged with fellow citizens on the way forward for our nation. I've met with traditional rulers, religious rulers, students, market women, the youth, and many identifiable groups. I've listened to the great ideas they shared with me. Some have asked questions about the performance of our government in the last 7 years. Some have praised the remarkable achievements of President Akufo-Addo. Similarly, some have offered advice. I've also taken advantage of my engagements to recount the many successes of the government of President Akufo-Addo. I have also, in my encounters, acknowledged the economic difficulties citizens have faced, especially between 2020 and 2022, and the interventions we've made to bring back the economy. Last week, the MPP presented its 2024 Manifesto in Takoradi. In our manifesto, we have laid down comprehensive economic proposals to sustain the rebounding economy, reduce the cost of living, stabilize the currency, empower businesses, and reform the tax administration and deliver jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to deepening media freedoms and plurality. Recognizing the vital role of the media in promoting democratic governance and economic development, and in preventing disinformation in the digital age, in line with our philosophy and reaffirming our commitment to upholding the fundamental right to free speech and media freedoms and expanding the frontiers of individual rights, we will pass and fully implement the broadcasting bill, if not done before the final session of Parliament this year, to better safeguard media freedoms and pluralism. Further, resource the Media Capacity Enhancement Program to continue enhancing the knowledge and skills of journalists, continue to implement the coordinated mechanism for the safety of journalists, strengthen public media, including GBC, GNA, community radio, and other public media institutions, to promote diverse perspectives and voices, to modernize and retool the Information Services Department to enhance its effectiveness, better resource the National Media Commission to execute its mandate, and enhance access to information by facilitating right to information requests by the media petitioners and citizens who cannot afford access to information. We also want to preserve our heritage by working with tourism, creative arts, and heritage stakeholders to embark on a massive archival project to protect our historic films and documents. Finally, harmonize public relations at all ministries, departments, and agencies to promote effective communication. Ladies and gentlemen, I represent the future, and Ghana needs an upgrade and not a reset. And so, I've also outlined my 14 key commitments to the Ghanaian people. These are to sustain and expand Ghana's rebounding economy, create new jobs, implement wide-ranging tax reforms, build Ghana into a world-class digital economy, reduce the cost of living, expand public infrastructure, provide better health care for all, implement affirmative action for women and girls, and expand educational opportunities for all, provide good governance, care for the elderly, protect our environment, boost sports, creative arts, and tourism, protect our borders while keeping our neighborhoods safe. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is an opportunity for the media to thoroughly examine the proposals in our manifesto and offer criticisms where necessary. We are ready to listen. Let me take advantage of your presence here to state my firm commitment to free, fair, and peaceful elections in December. The quest for political power should not be an end in itself. It should be mounted on the desire to transform lives and make Ghana, our motherland, a better place for us all. However, it is becoming increasingly worrying that some people have gained the notoriety of churning out incendiary language, threatening fire and brimstone if the good people of Ghana give the mandate to rule to a group other than theirs. Whilst nobody profits from violence and chaos, it bears repeating that not a single drop of Ghanaian blood should be sacrificed for power. Our party is determined to pitch our ideas, as we have always done, and to demonstrate the superiority of our ideas over and above what any other party can offer. My pledge, and that of the MPP, is to run a campaign of ideas and to conduct ourselves in a manner worthy of a democratic group. Our main goal is that at the end of the contest, we carry on with our lives secure in the knowledge that there is work to do, work to sustain the rebounding economy. To those who threaten war, mayhem, and violence, my message to them is that this isn't Ghanaian. Our pursuit of power must be paired with the compelling need to allow the Ghanaian to continue to enjoy his or her peace. Ghana will exist long after we've all left the scene. Thank you for your attention, and I'll cede the microphone and take your questions. Thank you very much.
Eugene from Ashanti Radio, Insura FM.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Vice President. My name is Eugene Osetutu. I work at Love FM in Kumasi, subsidiary of the Multimedia Group. Listening to you last Sunday and also reading your manifesto, and you're giving us an abridged version. When you go to the page 23 and 24, you are tackling the rising cost of living basically on 4 legs. Food, then you talk about transportation, you talk about housing, and also electricity. Now on transportation, your solution is bringing in, one of your solutions is bringing in electric vehicles for public transport. And last Sunday, you did indicate that you're expecting about 100 of them before December. I have 3 questions on that. We know EV vehicles are mostly charged. They have public charging systems that we use to, power these buses to ply our roads. When you check the Energy Commission website as of this evening, we have only 5 public charging ports in the country, 5. And 2 of them are actually for Porsche cars specifically. Then 1 at the Total Energy Station at the Liberation Road. So between now and December, where are we building the charging port? Is it government building it? Or the source of fund? Is it the private sector or is it PPP? So that's my question 1.
Thank you. You have.
Then question 2.
You have.
No, I'm not done.
No, is it directly related to EV?
Yes, it's the EV. Yes,
let's refer to the others and make it short.
Okay, so still on the EV, we know that most of these charging ports for green mobility innovations, they must be powered with green energy. So are we already adding on to our energy mix, which is the brown, making it counterproductive, or we build dedicated solar panels for these charging ports? Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Vice President, so throughout your campaign, I have noticed that you've been talking about job creation and support for businesses. I've also taken the pain to read all the 260-page manifesto that you launched a week ago. And I see that the golden thread in that manifesto is also the creation of jobs. But the young people in Ghana are asking, really, where would they find themselves in that manifesto? How are you going to create jobs for the young people of this country? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilberforce. I think at this point, His Excellency will take the questions and then we'll come back. We don't have the chance. Your Excellency, 6 questions.
With what we have been able to do in these last 8 years almost, it's really night and day. You know, we have created at least 2.1 million jobs. The latest number I saw was 2.3 million. But let's say at least 2.1 million jobs in the last 7 years. And this is hard data I'm talking about. 2.1 million jobs. We've kept the public sector workers employed and fully paid through the COVID pandemic. We didn't lay anybody off. And if you look at it, we've built more roads, 3 times more the length of roads than what he did in office. We've built more railway than any other government in the Fourth Republic. Expanded rural telephony. There were 78 sites for rural telephony when we came in. Today there are 1,008 sites for rural telephony. We built more libraries, public libraries, than any other government. I mean, his time he built only 8 years, 3 public libraries, 8 years. And we've built 54 public libraries in 8 years. We've constructed about 12 major fish landing sites across the country. Exim, Dix Cove, Moree, Mumford, Winneba, Senyabreku, Gomoa, Fete, Teshi, Osu, Ekumfi, and Mfasima. Constructed 2 fishing harbors in Elmina and Jamestown. Constructed more sanitation facilities, 817, than any other government in the Fourth Republic. This has increased the proportion of the population with access to toilet facilities from 33% in 2016 to 80%. And 5,400 communities have been declared open defecation free. We've built more sports facilities in Ghana than any other government in the Fourth Republic. Whether you're talking about Boteman or the University of Ghana and so on. When we came into office, there were only 3 astroturfs in the whole of Ghana. The whole of Ghana, 3. Today you have over 150. We've abolished the 3-month pay policy, constructed 120 courts we're constructing, 80 have been completed with bungalows, and we've kept the lights on broadly in the last 8 years. We've restored teacher and nursing training allowances. We've increased the beneficiaries of scholarships by 70%. And the national health insurance is now being extended to cover sickle cell patients with hydroxyurea, very expensive drug, but I led the negotiations for that to happen. We have extended the national health insurance to cover childhood cancer, extended the national health insurance to cover kidney dialysis for over 60s and under 18s. We saved the deposits of 4.6 million bank depositors who really were going to lose their deposits if those banks were not saved. I don't understand whether the former president has taken his time to actually understand what happened in the banking sector. some atrocious things happened. And this is why these banks had to be saved. They were not collapsed, they were merged into other banks. And we no banking depositor lost 1 cedi. Everybody maintained. But you had very bad things happening. You know, some of the banks broke all the rules and extended loans way above the single obligor limits. They were given, in some cases, 1 billion cedis by the Bank of Ghana to help them get out of the mess. And they only got deeper into the mess. Another bank was giving capital to save the situation, was giving money from the Bank of Ghana's lender of last resort facility. And they used that money to go and set up Capital Bank instead of rescuing the problem that they had. They took the money from the central bank and went to set up another bank, which was also collapsed. Some took money and went and invested in private property. So it was against this background when the governor came to report, and this was one of my nightmares as in the last 8 years. I couldn't sleep that night, that the banking system, most people didn't understand how close we were to a collapse of the entire banking system, but we were this close because all it would have taken was for a few depositors to go to UT Bank or UMT and they'll tell you there's no money. What would happen? There would have been a complete run on the banking system in Ghana. We would have collapsed the banking system. When the governor came to report that we were on the verge of collapse, decisions had to be taken to save the banking system and to save depositors. And this is how come we had to merge many of these banks into other banks. And we saved 4.6 million depositors. I'll ask the former president, if he hasn't read, to go and read the receiver's report, or to go and read the Bank of Ghana report, and acquaint himself before making any further comments on matters he clearly does not understand. He needs to get an understanding before you make comments. And you cannot hand over a bank's license to them. This is subject to legal procedure. You have to go to court. You don't have the power in our constitution to do that. And I'm surprised sometimes because he has been president before and he should know these things. He should know these things. He should know these things. Ladies and gentlemen, we have tripled the capitation grant per child since we came into office, from 5 cedis to 15 cedis. And what is interesting also is that we've had the lowest increase in electricity tariffs in recent history. Between his time, 2009, and 2016, when they were in office, the average annual increase in electricity tariffs was 50% a year. That's the average. Some of the years were 80%. Between 2009 and 2016, 50% average a year. In the last 8 years, the average increase in electricity prices has been 11.1%. This is the lowest average increase of any government since 1992. Any government since 1992. When we came in, in our first term, we abolished and reduced 21 separate taxes. And we reduced import duties by 50% between 2019 and 2021. 50% reduction in import duties. And that, of course, we had to go back on that when we got into the crisis. We introduced the National Rental Assistance Scheme to help to deal with this problem of rent advance. And it is one of the best schemes that we have seen. It has worked very well, and we are going to expand it for the rest of the country. We are going to put in serious money, because with that, you don't need to pay 2 years rent advance. We will pay the landlord, and you just pay monthly, and it's working, and of course, working with the private sector. Infant mortality under our government has come down from 37.9 in 2016 to 31.7. And in terms of LEAP, Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, we have increased payments almost tenfold, from 49 million that we used to pay every year to 423 million LEAP payments. Now, National Health Insurance, NHIS expenditure has also gone up from 1.1 billion to 6.8 billion. During COVID, we had free water for everybody for a year and free electricity for lifeline consumers and all of that. We brought in over 4 million beneficiaries now under school feeding, up from 1.6 million. We've absorbed the examination fees for all students of BCA and WACC. People were sacked from examination centers for not paying examination fees before we came into office. We've doubled the number of student loan recipients from 30,000 to 58,000, almost double. We've also, of course, introduced mobile money interoperability to make almost every adult Ghanaian have a bank account through the Momo's account interoperability with the bank account. In fact, the whole of Africa, Ghana is the only country with 100% access to financial inclusion. 100%. The whole of Africa. Ghana is the only country with 100% access to financial inclusion. What is interesting is that when I first made a statement and I said Ghana was the first country in Africa to have mobile money interoperability between banks and Momo accounts, some people decided to fact check me. And they said that I was wrong. Just that they didn't understand the terrain, the fact checkers. So I took my time to explain to the fact checkers exactly what was happening in the field. Unfortunately, once they understood it, they didn't come back to withdraw. They just kept quiet. You know, today, when chalk was a problem, remember, chalk in our schools under the former president, when it was a problem. Today we have acquired tablets to give to the students. Every senior high school student is getting a tablet that we are having. So I'm just putting some of these points together. You know, Agenda 111, so far we've built 47 hospitals, 428 CHIPS compounds, 230 health centers, I mean, that is massive. That's excluding Agenda 111. We've brought in drone delivery, and Ghana is now the whole world's, the largest medical drone delivery service in the whole world. We're leading the world. The ambulance service, which was collapsing, we've brought in one constituency, one ambulance, and we are making a lot of progress in that direction. So I think that, I mean, what is clear, I don't have to go through every sector. The data, for me, I speak only with data. And the data is very, very clear that we have our government. We have outperformed the government of former President Mahama in the management of the economy in virtually every sector. Virtually every sector. You tell me whether it's GDP growth, whether it's per capita income, whether it is industry growth. I mean, virtually every sector we have outperformed him. So he either does not read or he does not understand the data. He needs to do one of the two. Take his time to read the data and understand what it is before he comes out to speak, because he will speak out of ignorance. Because if you understand the data, and I believe that as a former president, he does understand the data. He must understand the data. And I believe that is why he doesn't want to debate me. I believe so. That is why he doesn't want to debate me. He's running away from that. So if, according to him, we have mismanaged the economy in the midst of a global crisis, if our mismanaged economy is outperforming you in virtually every sector, this economy that you are saying has been mismanaged. We are performing you in GDP growth, in per capita income, in gross international reserves, in every sector, roads, hospitals, schools, everything. Free SHS, all of that. If this is the mismanaged economy that is outperforming you in your economy that had no global crisis, no crisis at all, but you couldn't afford chalk. You couldn't afford chalk, but there was no crisis. So if our mismanaged economy is performing better than your better managed economy, then in that case, you must not have been very good. Let me put it mildly. I was going to say incompetent. Because our bad economy it's much better than your good economy. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So I think that the matter, I hope that this matter can be settled. There's no way he can say that his economy that he managed as president, by the way, I'm not yet president, in another 3 months, inshallah. Yeah, I mean, let us settle this matter. And you are members of the press. You read the data. You follow the data. You know the data. You know that we have done better than him. So why does he want to come back? I mean, it's like you go for an exam with someone in school. You score 70%, they score 30%. And they want to convince people that they are better than you. It doesn't make sense in that sense. So I seriously believe that statement, that we have failed. Of course, we've had challenges. Nobody can say we haven't had challenges. We have had challenges, serious challenges challenges that have kept me up at night. In 2022, that was the horrible year for us, 2022. Petrol prices went up to 23 cedis per liter. We were losing reserves so badly, you know, and you saw food prices going up and all of that. That was a real challenge that we had to deal with. And this is how we came up with the whole gold for oil, gold purchase program, and that has really helped us. Today, Ghana today, notwithstanding all the challenges, we are the 10th lowest price in terms of petroleum in Africa, the whole of Africa. Ghana is number 10 in those of lowest prices of petroleum products. We are number 10, 10th lowest. The lowest is Libya. Then you move through Egypt and Sudan and all of those to come to number 10, which is Ghana. Ghana, we are priced around 13, 14 cedis per liter right now. Cote d'Ivoire is priced 23 cedis per liter, as Hassan was just telling me earlier on when I asked. You know, 10th lowest. We still want to bring it lower. But in 2022, at the time I announced the Gold for Oil program, when I said we had to attack this thing with gold for oil, the prices were 23 cedis per liter at that time. So we've had challenges. It's not, everything is not where we want it to be, but I believe that we can work better. But I don't think the former president can lecture us on economic management. He just cannot. His record would not allow him to lecture us on economic management. Is there anything you have disagreed with in this government? The issue when you sit in cabinet, you have collective responsibility. That is fundamental to governance. When we sit in cabinet, we argue on many, many issues, and everybody brings their mind. And sometimes your view prevails, sometimes it doesn't prevail. But once we take a decision, it is a collective decision. And so I cannot come out and say that the decision that we collectively took, I disagree with. No, I'm bound by it. That is the nature of cabinet responsibility. Fifth question had to do with the rising cost of living, and I'm very happy you are raising these issues on the EV, electric vehicles. You're right, one of the ways that we want to reduce the cost of living is through bringing in public transportation, the electric buses. And, you know, so that is what is going on. We are bringing in about 100 to start with to essentially do the pilot for it. And the issue that you raise is a very, very fundamental one, which is the charging stations for these electric buses. And I must tell you that Metromass is working very, very hard as we speak to put in the charging stations. So we will have the charging stations in place by the time the buses get here. So that is clearly a very, very important one. And the issue of green energy, whether you're going to try to bring in solar to charge these batteries, I think it is definitely going to be important. Because in general, if you read that particular chapter, I want Ghana to move towards solar power. And this is where I think we should be going. And this is why I want us to bring in 2,000 megawatts of solar power in the next 4 years to really bring down the cost of power. And we've seen some work already being done by Bawumia'S Power in terms of the solar area, but we're going to really expand it So in terms of all these buses, all these government buildings, all the schools and so on, I want to move them all towards green energy, solar power, and I think that is where we should be going. I think that the other question was on job creation for the young people. I think that is at the heart of the manifesto, that you want to essentially move to create the environment and put in place the policies that will help business and that will help jobs, right? So that's why we're talking about bold solutions for business and jobs. I think that is so critical. And I think that there are many areas that we are touching on for the young people to get the jobs. I think that, I mean, the two are very linked, business and jobs. If you let businesses grow, then the jobs will also be created. And so we are looking at helping businesses grow by putting together implementing our legally backed Ghana First policy, so that the procurement by the public will be focused on things that are produced in Ghana first before they look outside. So that is a very important part of the policy mix that we are coming with. That will make people hire more, and we will get more jobs in that sense. We also have a major tax program of tax reform to make the business environment very, very good and easy to comply with. So we are bringing in a flat tax system as exists in Estonia. We are also bringing in a tax amnesty for business so that we can all start on a clean slate and move forward. We believe that, training the youth will be very, very important. So the investment that we are making in TVET will continue. The focus, we're setting up an open university with a focus on ICT, TVET, and also the whole STEM area as well. So we want to do that, but we also are trying to get our youth trained in digital skills. I have a program for 1 million youth to be trained in digital skills, which is a broad area of training for the youth, because the jobs these days are increasingly more in that space. And I think that we can have a situation where a lot of our youth are here and they are working, whether in America or the US or Canada, right from Ghana here and so on. So these are some of the areas that we think we are going to get going, the infrastructure area and so on, that will expand the economy so that we can create more jobs for our people. And of course, setting up the SME bank, setting up the credit scoring system to allow people to get credit and move Ghana towards that system. We may have some time to talk more about some of these, but these are some of the areas we want to get the youth totally involved and empowered to get jobs. Thank you very much. I'll take the next set.
Thank you. Umar Sanda from City.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mr. Vice President. I have a message from your in-laws, the Fulani people. They say I should tell you that, and remind you rather, that they are still being discriminated against when it comes to obtaining national ID cards, the passport and so on. So kindly work on the discrimination part for them. My question, your critics, mostly the NDC, they say that the economy has overused, so you run away to digitalization. What is your response to such a criticism? Thank you so much.
The issue of my in-laws, my in-laws feeling discriminated against, I will take very strong exception to that. As president, and even as vice president, I don't think I want to see my in-laws discriminated against. So Marusanda, tell them that we are going to fight with them to make sure that discrimination doesn't take place. Then also you talked about digitalization, my focus on digitalization, and that the people think that I've run away from economics, and economics has gone over me, and so I've gone to digitalization. I think digitalization has gone over them. You know, they have no. It's very strange. You know, the people cannot see the nexus between digitalization and the economy, and it just doesn't make sense. You know, when I spent a year at Oxford University in 2009 as a researcher in the economics department, I wrote a book on monetary policy and financial sector reform. And I made a point in the book, this was in 2010, this is 14 years ago, before I became vice president. I made the point that Africa needs to go digital because the global economy is going digital. And if countries stay behind, they will miss out on the fourth industrial revolution as we missed out on the other revolutions. And there's a good reason, because the digitalization allows us to formalize our economy. Informal economies are very difficult to manage. And so if you want systematic, management of an economy based on data and based on systems, the fourth industrial revolution is a data-based revolution. If you have an economy that doesn't have data and systems, you can't do much. Your entry into the fourth industrial revolution, your ticket to entry is a digital identity. And as I've already said, that is the first thing. By issuing the Ghana card, you have a digital identity. You know your population. Today, when a child is born in Ghana, right, at the point of weigh-in, they give the child a Ghana card ID as well as a birth certificate ID. We are the first country in Africa to get this done. You are getting these two IDs. So, and in not long, we are going to see NIA is going to go to all the schools and issue all the children with Ghana card IDs. So we will have a complete database, and they've done the pilot, so I expect them to start before the end of this year. You have a complete database of the whole country. Everybody is accounted for. If a child is not in school, you will know, because they will not be in the school database, but they would have been born. You can only manage an economy when you have the data on the people, properly. So I think that the digitalization allows us to do so. From independence to 2016, only 4% of our people had tax identification numbers. Only 4%. But by making the Ghana card ID, that we've been able to solve that problem, and therefore we have 85% in there. How do we get everybody with a bank account? You go through mobile money interoperability. You get the digital framework working. And then suddenly Ghana is the #1 country in terms of financial inclusion. We've been working at this matter since independence. But Ghana is 100% access to financial inclusion. The only country in Africa with 100% access to financial inclusion. This is economics. When you talk about financial inclusion, you are talking about economics. Look at the savings that people are making, just staying at home and paying their electricity bill, or renewing their national health insurance, or buying something on the internet or whatever. Just, you are expanding economic possibilities when you move in this direction and so on. So when you are talking about moving away from economics, no, in fact, any economy which doesn't digitalize will be left behind. And so I believe right now, what we are doing right now in Ghana, we are really at the forefront of the digital economy in Africa. We are at the forefront of the digital economy. What we are doing right now, many countries are not able to do. Many countries will take a much longer time to do. I was telling somebody, even in the UK, they don't have digital ID cards. Tony Blair was proposing to Steinmeier that they should move to issue digital IDs. They don't have digital IDs in the United States. They are now talking about doing digital identity in the United States. The EU has asked all their countries to make sure they issue digital IDs by 2030. You know, how do you manage an economy without address systems, addresses? If you go to the UK, US, Canada, and you collapse their address system today, those economies will collapse just because they don't have addresses. We had to address that problem. For 60 years of independence, we didn't have a solution. We were going piecemeal. But by just bringing in the Ghana Post GPS and moving to a digital property address system, Ghana solved that problem just like that. You know, and that has economic repercussions. You know, you look at Ghana.gov, all these people on one platform, look at the efficiency, and so many problems that we've lived with since independence. So many problems since independence. We have been able to solve them because of digitalization. And this is now going to give us the foundation to really grow jobs. People who don't understand digitalization or need to, you know, think through some of these things. This is where the world is going. And I am just, you know, at the forefront in terms of policy of moving this in this country.
Yeah, Kunama. Please take the microphone to Upper East, Natalie Ford, and then Kasapa.
Thank God that finally grace located me for me to be called. Good evening, Your Excellency, and thanks for the opportunity. I go back to the manifesto. Improved, you proposed a number of new tax regimes. You talked about Ghana's ports being competitive to that of Togo. We know Togo is mainly duty-free. Is Ghana ports going to be duty-free? And if you do that, coupled with the number of taxes and levies you intend to abolish, then there will be shortfall in revenue, which we know that the budget we draw year by year is highly dependent on loans and donor support. So if there are shortfalls in revenue, how are you going to make up, and how will you fund all these lofty promises? Thank you.
So my question borders on musicians in this country. Now, I have seen what you have highlighted in your manifesto when it comes to people in the creative arts. Now, recently, people that I've seen come into the media space to complain about royalties they receive from Gamro. These artists, they come out, they complain about receiving 300 CDs, 200 CDs, 500 CDs. Someone has created about 32 albums, a collection of royalties on his behalf, him 300 CDs, 200 CDs, and 400 CDs. You see them come in the news complain about these things, and it looks like Gamro has not been enabled to collect royalties when it comes to, you know, our artists. And in certain jurisdictions, artists can release one song and eat off it for the rest of their lives. We don't see that here. And I want you to let me know what you are going to do to help enable Gamro to be able to collect royalties effectively, so that our artists wouldn't, you know, retire, and us on social media will be doing GoFundMe and all these things for them. So that is Gamro. And the last one is, oh no, this one. Oh, who's that? The last one is data issues in this country. I'm sure you have seen what Tech Kichi guys. We have all added our voice when it comes to how expensive data is in this country. Now, I create people always in the comment section complain about the fact that even the exorbitant amount are paying for not getting value for their money. We have highlighted this on several platforms. We have been interviewed. We have met with the NCA. We have met with key people in positions of power, and nothing is being done about it. Your government, you have not said anything about it. For someone who is a digitalization and agenda, don't you think we need internet to champion some of these things that you are highlighting in your manifesto?
Thank you.
What I'm proposing is basically to expand the tax base. You want to expand the tax base by broadening the tax, digitalizing the tax, making the tax rate flat so that compliance is very easy for everyone. So I don't really, and then also reducing the government expenditure by 3% of GDP. I don't really see a funding challenge for our promises. In fact, there's no problem really to fund the promises that we are making, because they will be financed. As I said, Palugu, we want to look at grant and private sector financing, buying state assets. I think that it's something that we should all support. If we have any bill that prevents state officials from buying state assets, I think it's very well in the right direction. The issue about driver's licenses, as I said, we will move the validity to 10 years, but you renew it every 5 years. And we are hoping by moving to the flat duty for the imports, people will find that there's a bit more reasonableness in the duties that are being paid, and a little bit more predictability in the duties that are being paid at the ports. Then data is expensive. I totally agree with you, especially as we're trying to build a digital economy. So I've made the point in the manifesto, we've made the point in the manifesto that we need to bring down the cost of data. Thankfully, I think that Starlink is coming in at the end of this month. I'm hoping that some competitiveness will come, but I've also said that in our allocation of spectrum in the future, we need to focus more on inclusion and bringing down the cost of data. So it is something that we are really going to pay attention to in the context of building this digital economy. And this is also why the cost of devices, we're trying to look at bring down the cost of devices like the mobile phones as we build this digital state that we are looking at, because we want to take off the import duties on the mobile phone. Yeah, so that is basically some of what we are trying to do, because when you look at the work that we have done, let me go through some of it. For the first time in our history, first time since independence, we have a national ID system. For the first time. For the first time in our history, we've championed national ID at birth for all children at birth, together with their birth certificates. Never happened in our history. For the first time in our history, with the Ghana card, you don't need a guarantor to get a student loan. The first time in our history, Ghana has a comprehensive address system. We've struggled with this for 60 years. 60 years. It's only under our government and with my initiative that we have a comprehensive digital address system. For the first time in our history, you have 100% access to financial inclusion in Ghana. For the first time in our history. For the first time in our history, we have drones delivering medical supplies to 2,694 facilities and saving lives. 540,000 flights have been made so far to very remote parts of Ghana. Daily, they are going an average of about 100 flights a day from each of the 6 drone centers, saving lives. So many lives have been saved. Women in childbirth, needing blood, people who have been bitten by snakes. We get the report that the drones are saving. And Ghana is the whole world's largest medical drone delivery service. The whole world. The whole world. Our people can sit at home and enroll in national health insurance from home and renew national health insurance that they had so much problems with. Today, people can stay at home and buy electricity credit and pay their children's school fees and other things right on their mobile phone. Today, you have a lot of bureaucracy in the public service delivery space that has really been eliminated. You're getting through passports, getting a driver's license, clearing goods at the ports, and so on, have become much easier because of digitalization than before. Much, much, much easier. Today, we have an e-pharmacy system, platform in Ghana. I went to Ho in 2019, met with the pharmacists and challenged them. I said, let's do an e-pharmacy platform. Let's bring all the pharmacies in Ghana together on one platform. And today we have 2,456 pharmacies that have been brought together on one platform. For the first time in our history. For the first time in our history. So today, if you receive a prescription from a doctor, you can get to the e-pharmacy platform and it will tell you which pharmacy near you has the medicine and how much it costs. This is the first country in the whole of Africa to have an e-pharmacy platform, and it is Ghana. The whole of Africa to have an e-pharmacy platform, and it is Ghana. Today we have put together Ghana.gov platform where we have onboarded over 1,000 MMDAs. But we are left with less than 20 MMDAs to complete the whole Ghana.gov. So whenever you want to interact with government, you go to Ghana.gov and you either apply for the service or pay for the service or whatever. Today, when we came in, only 4% of adult Ghanaians had a tax identification number. Today it's 85%, and that is a major, the really major accomplishment that we are doing. Today, what we have done for the first time in our history under the e-health program, you know, before you could go to the hospital and they'll tell you your folder is missing. Today, what we have done is to digitalize the medical records and network the hospitals, teaching hospitals, all regional hospitals, all district hospitals. The patient records have all been digitalized. And those hospitals are networked. So if they refer someone from Wa to Kolebu, they don't need to come with their folder. All they need is their ID number. It will be put in the computer in Kolebu, and all their medical history will appear to the government. And we are the first country in the whole of Africa to do this. And one of the few in the world, because I've been looking at the networking of hospitals across the world in this manner. We have one of the very few in the world to do this. One of the very, very few. Today, sickle cell patients are able to get hydroxyurea on the NHIS. Today, childhood cancer is covered on the NHIS. Today, we have free kidney dialysis for over 60 patients and under 18 patients. Today, we have the National Rental Assistance Scheme for the first time in our history to deal with this problem of rent advance. And as I said, it's working very, very well, and we will do it. Today, for the first time in our history, we have the Zongo Development Fund, over 200 projects, and we are moving forward with that. Today, for the first time in our history, we've implemented a gold purchase program at the Bank of Ghana. We've also brought in gold for oil program, which is going to be a major thing for our economy going forward. And today, one of the things that we have done, which will be hopefully outdooring before the end of this year, is to bring in a local Uber-like app for our local taxis. Taxis having major problems because they are being outcompeted by Uber. We have done an app for them, and they will soon be able to operate like the way the Uber or Yango or Bolt is operating. So that when we take a taxi, we don't have to be taking the money abroad. We can keep the money in Ghana. And that work has been virtually completed, and we will outdoor it very, very soon. So when you look at how we are changing Ghana, and you look at the performance of the economy before we came into office, we are doing much better across virtually every sector than the man who wants to come back. Every sector. The man who wants to come back, right? So I am very proud of my record. Very, very proud of it. So the issue for GIBA was free-to-air model and the financial sustainability of it. I think that one of the things which as you spoke, I thought was very, very important for us and hopefully we may have to have a meeting to get a better, fuller understanding. But I believe that the flat tax system that we are coming up with for many businesses will help, because you were talking about the tax regime not being media friendly. I think that generally the tax regime has not been business friendly. And this is why I want a complete overhaul of the tax regime. I want a business and citizen friendly tax regime. And this is where we're going. And I believe that once we implement the tax reforms that we are proposing, we will broaden the tax base and we'll make it very simple. When I was thinking about this, I asked myself the question, which country has the best tax regime in the world? The research came up with Estonia. Estonia has been #1 in tax regime, business friendliness, for the last 10 years in a row. That has been Estonia. So I decided to take a team, GRE and a few others, and we went to Estonia. We met with all their key players, President, Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, the equivalent of GRE, and we went through their system. Of course, it was very clear that the simplicity of that system, friendliness of that system. No, you don't really need to appoint an accountant to tell you how much you owe. It's just a flat tax. I was very persuaded that we will have a very, very good system with a flat tax system in Ghana. And this is where I wanted. So it's just like you pay your tithe in church. You know, everyone knows exactly how much they have to pay. You know, it's that situation. And that is why I want us to start on a clean slate. And that is why we are going to introduce a tax amnesty for businesses and individuals so that we all start on a clean slate in this area. I am very, very thankful for this opportunity. I am running for president because I believe I can really help transform this country. I believe that we are not at our potential. I believe it's really possible to really move this country in leaps and bounds. I believe we are limited in our mindsets. We are not believing that it is possible. I want to take Ghana on this journey of possibilities. I want us to overtake many of these countries. I want to create jobs for our people. I want to take care of the vulnerable. I want to educate our people and make sure that we build an economy, a world-class digital economy, which is based on systems and data. That it wouldn't depend. When your economy is based on systems and data, it doesn't depend on who you know. Because when it comes to who you know, then only a few benefit. But we want to move more towards a disciplined society, and systems bring discipline. More discipline as a society. Because in the advanced countries, things work. People are disciplined because the systems are there to check you. You know, systems check you. And so I believe that we should put in place the systems, and we will get a more disciplined society and a more vibrant society, a prosperous society, a job-creating society. That's why I want you to help me to become president of the Republic of Ghana. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Like the Gen Zs will say, he's very mindful, cutesy, and very together again for the leader of the Bible, the His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. 4 hours of grilling questions, 4 hours of answering one of the toughest questions that any sitting vice president has ever been subjected to. And you all agree that never in our recent time have we ever seen any presidential candidate subjected to such grilling questions. Please put your hands together again for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Let me quickly say, Hello? Please don't forget to go back to the registration desk if you didn't complete the process. So go there, show your invitation to the ladies and gentlemen there, and sign off. And a few announcements, it's housekeeping issues. I'm just briefly, so we can order. Then we can proceed. Thank you.